Supreme Court upholds $1.4 billion judgment against Alex Jones in Sandy Hook defamation case. Court's refusal to hear appeal leaves record damages intact as families pursue collection through bankruptcy and asset sales. Background: in 2012, a gunman killed 20 children and 6 adults in a tragic attack at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut. For years afterward, media host Alex Jones repeatedly claimed, without credible evidence, that the shooting was a hoax staged by crisis actors. His false statements led to harassment, threats, and emotional trauma for the victims' families and survivors. Several of those families, along with a first responder, sued Jones for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress, alleging his comments caused severe and lasting harm. Court rulings and judgments. Connecticut case. In October 2022, a Connecticut jury awarded $965 million in compensatory damages to 8 families and a first responder. Punitive damages were later added, bringing the total to roughly $1.4 billion. Jones was found in default judgment on liability after repeatedly failing to comply with court orders to provide evidence. A Connecticut appellate court later upheld most of the verdict, and the state Supreme Court declined to review the case in April 2025, ending his appeals within the state. Texas case. Separately, a Texas jury awarded nearly $49 million to the parents of another victim. The case remains under appeal amid debate over whether state limits on punitive damages should apply. Bankruptcy and asset battles. Following the Connecticut verdict, Jones filed for personal bankruptcy in December 2022. Judges have since ruled that he cannot use bankruptcy protection to erase most of the defamation debt. A court-appointed receiver now controls his media company and other assets to help satisfy the judgment. Plans to auction off his media brand were temporarily halted after concerns about fairness and transparency. In February 2025, a bankruptcy judge blocked a proposed settlement between Jones and the families over how to divide his remaining assets, saying it exceeded the court's authority. Even with the bankruptcy, courts continue to explore legal avenues to seize Jones's property, media holdings, and intellectual property rights to help pay the damages. The Supreme Court's decision. On October 14, 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear Jones's appeal of the Connecticut judgment, leaving the $1.4 billion ruling intact. The justices issued no comment, effectively ending his federal-level challenge. Jones's lawyers had argued that the massive judgment violated his constitutional rights to due process and free speech, and that the default judgment deprived him of a fair trial. The court's refusal to hear the case leaves those lower court findings in place. What happens next? With the Supreme Court's decision, the defamation judgment against Jones stands as one of the largest ever awarded in U.S. history. Families of the victims will now continue efforts to recover funds through Jones's remaining assets and the ongoing sale of his media enterprises. Because of his bankruptcy and limited cash flow, however, the families may ultimately collect only a fraction of the total amount. Broader impact. The Jones case is widely viewed as a landmark in the battle over disinformation and accountability. It underscores the legal risks of spreading false claims that inflict real harm and raises enduring questions about the limits of free speech and the balance between expression and responsibility.